Welcome back to the Digital Shield, Youth and Beyond. Voices of Change Advocacy Day at the Michigan Capitol and the Survivor Council. Today we're going to be reflecting on our trip to Lansing, the Ask, and some apps that some of us have researched because we're going to talk about that today. And so introductions, we have Stella and Lady T, Tish, and Samantha. So just to kind of get started, what do you guys think about the trip to Lansing?
What I thought about the trip to Lansing, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I could actually see where faith, state, the community, leaders from the community, and survivors could come together. And for me, I was able to see the grassroots of it all and how it evolves and how the togetherness just creates a profound community for the survivors and just human trafficking as a whole.
Right, humans. I love that word, humans.
For me, it was a great way to have mentorship in so many different facets. Mentorship to state legislators, mentorship to state officials, mentorship informally to the Michigan Human Trafficking Commission Board, mentorship amongst survivors at all spectrums on all of its diversity and age and region and location within the state of Michigan. So my greatest takeaway was the inspiring, the education, and the mobilization of all the efforts.
Wow.
Yes.
It was really powerful. We made a statement that day, and I was a little riled up. I was riled up, and thank you, ladies, for being there because I needed other energies to calm me down. Because I
Wow.
was so passionate about the cause. So it was very powerful, and I think we're moving. We're moving.
Absolutely. That's what's up.
All right. I thought it was a really great day. It was super inspiring. I work for the state, so that's something that I get to see every day, but to actually be a part of it is completely different, especially with such a big, strong group of people who very much share the same passion and the same end goal. So I think that we're on a really great path to success, and I can really see us pushing through, barreling through.
I want to go back. You were so pivotal to the day. I don't even know if you realize how
I
your
agree.
passion, your passion, the questions that you asked, and the accountability that you were looking for was a critical component. And I say that even as I talked with one of the prosecutors as he was leaving out, because of the questions that you asked, he left thinking about how could he do better as a prosecutor. So I want to thank you for that. You
Oh,
asked some very necessary questions regarding accountability, and let me kind of share. I'm going to paraphrase. She was asking like, where are the rest of the state legislators?
Mm-hmm.
And in the
Right.
process, when you're doing advocacy work, they were in session, so there was representation from the state legislators, but she's like, where they at?
yeah.
So they were downstairs doing a vote. And so in that, you're asking about the accountabilities to such a necessary discourse. The representation and the prosecutors that were there, they took your questions to heart. Like, how can they have that passion? How can they be more proactive to our ask, and what can they do to do better?
Right.
So thank you.
I'm,
Thank you, thank you,
I'm
thank you.
glad that it brought something out, and it triggered something in the prosecutors. But still, I'm like, where are they? Where is the priority in the help and providing a service
Right.
to
Where's the accountability?
accountability? Absolutely. I know it's so much going on and where we are today. However, I feel like there should be a priority. And one of those priorities is our youth, you know, and them being educated on what HT is, human trafficking, DV, domestic violence, and how they can, this is a preventative measure. You know, Alice, you talk a lot about, you know, not causing self-harm. It's protecting self at all costs. So, I mean, we gonna keep pushing though.
Yes, we are. You know,
Thank
and
you,
that
Lady T.
accountability thing is so real and so important. One of the things I wanted to ask you, ladies, like, what did you think about Attorney General Dana Nessel's appearance, and what did you take away from that,
Okay.
if anything?
Now let me say this: as as an international gender equality advocate, every state is not equal.
Yeah.
I am very proud of Governor Whitmore to make sure that not only was her office involved, that the Attorney General for the state of Michigan, just think about that, the actual Attorney General for the state of Michigan came to hear our ask.
Right, she showed
And
up.
she had remarks to offer in terms of the support for anti-trafficking in the state of Michigan. So I was thrilled, just because that doesn't always happen. I've been to locations where they're saying that someone from the governor's office, attorney general may come, and no one comes, show up, or send a message. So the mere fact that she showed up, her colleagues were there was other representation, that was an incredible thing to see, experience, and witness.
Yeah.
And her remarks. So I want to know. I'm like, Alice, what did you think about her?
Your energy.
I want to know what did you think. And I almost want to start with Samantha. Samantha, what did you think about her remarks? Now I know this is a tricky question because she also works for the state, but just authentically, what did you think of her remarks?
I was a little starstruck. You know me. I'm trying to go to law school, so I was just like, oh my gosh, she's who I want to be. Like, so I was just kind of sitting there like with my jaw open.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, she came.
The celebrityism of it all.
Yeah.
But she was so approachable.
She was.
So
She was,
She
yes.
was really so. Okay.
No, you go.
Okay.
Stella.
Stella. Okay. We're gonna say the best for last. And then we're gonna have Alice to get her contribution too, because Alice is the warrior champion queen. Okay.
So
Says the queen.
I agree. I agree with you. I was starstruck as well, and I was caught up in trying to figure out how it all works. And so I think the term I used that day, I was the quietest, excited person, which is two different entities. But I was so impressed with. I don't think that she just. She didn't make me feel like she was just there. She made me feel as if she was listening, because she did ask a couple of questions. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
she
from
ended
what I
it like,
remember.
this is unacceptable in the state of Michigan.
Yes, and
She had me there.
Yeah, and she reminded to keep pushing, to keep going, and that I felt that the reason for being there was solidified with just her presence, and she didn't leave right away. She was there. She hung around. She was very personable, as you said. She stayed to take photos, and I knew that what was said was effective based on her demeanor. And again, I go back to what I was saying. I was the quietest, most excited person, because it's the energy for me of watching is a great turn on to my intellect. So her being there, and I saw action without really getting, the results, because it taught me, they're not going to just sign things right here. There's a process. So that process taught me about the process, and her presence taught me about the process.
The process about the process.
That's good. That's awesome. It's my money, and I want it now.
So,
Next question.
okay.
You trying to avoid the question. So what was your takeaway from Attorney General Dana Nessel And please be your authentic self.
Okay.
Because I will say this. In all of the observations, and I know the state of Maryland, they don't realize that I'm not a citizen of Maryland. I'm a citizen of the state of Michigan. But never, ever that I see someone as impersonable as an attorney general for a state. And she heard everything that we said. And I felt what you felt. I felt that from her too. It's almost indescribable. Like she really was listening to what we were saying, and I know we had a different vantage point in terms of seeing her engaging with what we were saying to her. So you may not have had that advantage point, but she listened. She heard us.
I like
wasn't
the
just
fact
there.
that she showed up.
Yeah.
Just from getting the email, like from me sending the email out and saying the Survivor Council is going to be there, we're going to be doing this, and it was immediate response, like
That
what
was
time?
awesome that
Right.
she showed up, but I also thought it was a photo op.
Okay.
You know, I was like, who is this woman? Oh, that's the Attorney General. You know,
Right.
She said what she had to say. She took some pictures and she left. Next question.
No, that's a good point, though. This is a real coachable moment, and I say that because we need everyone in this anti-movement to have a perspective and a lens. So let's break down what your observation was. Can we break it down?
First, I'm sorry, Lady T. When I went there, I was so excited about being a part. You know what I'm saying? The community to help. But when I sat there and listened to, you guys' presentation, I was like, this is really happening. You know what I'm saying? And I saw all the seats around me. And I was like, this is it? Mm-hmm. This can't be it. These are people's lives. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this is not enough. At the end of the day, I thought about the woman who was still out on the street, who cannot get out, who wants to get out, that there is no hope, absolutely no hope. And the Attorney General gets to go home to her cozy little white dog, I don't know, and her beautiful family, while there's a woman out there suffering, trying to figure out where her next meal is coming from, what she is possibly going to do to get that next meal. And that's where my mind was at.
Right, because
And we're advocating for that.
Right, because survivors, like we like what, like, and I was like taken back when I first started this too. But I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah, I didn't understand the process. And Lady T got me together. She was like, listen, we are making strides. So.
Right. So it's one thing at a time. We present ourselves, and the fact that she did show up, that gave us, like, that was a big statement. And then there's processes like we're doing with Tamasia and the Human Trafficking Task Force, where we are doing hearings and we're getting that legislation looked at. But these things take time. But we're like looking at from someone who's actually lived that experience. You're like, what? Like, this shouldn't be
all these people.
Like, why do we need to vote? Like,
It seems like such an obvious answer.
Right.
Unanimous.
Exactly, Samantha.
I don't know if I don't know the technical or the legal implications, but I think I have her remarks. I want to go to the end. I don't know if technical support, if we can do that or not. Okay. What I was most impressed about,
Right, 'cause
she said, if you have any events, any activities,
Right.
anything you all doing, we gonna be there.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Right.
That was a success.
Right.
That was a win.
Right.
That was a big win.
Right, and
I
this
was
is an
like, did she
experience
say
of
it?
learning for you guys.
Because
So,
that was her
Right.
invite.
Right. So the
Yeah.
fact that she said, I was like, I got it on a video.
Let's invite her to Mac and Me Week and see if she
Come
shows
on.
up.
Listen, this right here. And she said at the end of her speech, now let me see if I can warp speed it because I know time isn't on our side. But at the end, she went off script and was talking about how this is not acceptable. So her words, and I hear, and I want to really make sure I'm segueing how many wins we got that day. that was a win. That was another win. She's like, this is unacceptable. This will not happen in Michigan. And whatever she can do and her office can do to stop the perpetration of human trafficking, she's going to do it. And I believed her when she said it. So going back to you, Stella, when you was like, I felt the authenticity of those words. She went off script. So yes, there were pictures. We all were excited. I think for me to see that Commander Johnson, for what precinct is Commander Johnson from? I forgot, but he's one of the
He may
Detroit
be from
police.
third.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, he wanted the photo out with her
If I
too.
Yeah.
could just get out of pissosity for a moment, I probably.
No,
But
your
no, that's
feelings are valid.
authentic.
I don't
Yeah,
ever want you to
that's
feel like,
authentic.
you know, if
Yeah.
that's your feeling, that's what you saw, that's real. That's the reality of how we view the world differently and how we
Exactly.
see things differently. Like, because for us, it is, this is right now.
Yeah.
This ain't no 4 months, 8 months down the line. You got to go through all these, and we got to try to get you involved and all of that. At the end of the day, we need it right now because people are suffering right
It's a
now.
sense of urgency.
Right,
Right,
it is.
right,
a
but
sense of
because
urgency.
there's a
And
process,
and the
right.
fact that you are not moving more quickly, and that the fact that I have to come here, you know what I mean?
I'm you. I'm you. That's why I think I
Right.
can talk to
The
you. Right?
audacity.
I'm you. That's how I am. Like, this not happening now.
Thank you for getting me
But-
together.
but
though.
that-
You were like, we're making strides.
But Tish, that passion,
Bring it down, Tish. I'm like,
It's a marathon.
yeah,
It's a
that
marathon.
passion is the energy that we need to keep having the strength
Come
to
on,
keep
Stella.
going.
Yes.
You know, it
Right,
should be
and that's why
tears with the
survivors
wind.
are so important to
be
the
a tears
forefront
with the
because we
wind,
bring
right.
that passion and we bring that authenticity and that realness. You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you, ladies, is advocacy a baton that you believe can be replicated in other states or communities, and how so? What we're trying to do in this whole advocacy thing and this whole leadership experience, do you think that this is something that can be replicated from
absolutely.
the ass?
I will go for that question.
Yes.
Especially when while we're in the healing process, because it's always ongoing.
Right.
We have little ones, daughters, cousins, nieces, and they watch us throughout this healing process. They watch us go on our everyday journey, and then Stella and I were talking about creating an oasis and actually healing and talking about trauma and teaching them, hey, you have to advocate for yourself. You know, you dislike something, stand up for it. Stand up for something or you're going to fall for anything. So we have to teach that next generation. It absolutely, the baton has to be passed. And I don't want us to slow down so they can catch up.
Right.
We shouldn't be slowing down. Like, come on, baby. No. Get up here. You know what I'm saying? And that perseverance, the resilience, that's what we need. Like, we need that. But it starts with us, so we got to take accountability. We got to take, responsibility and feeding that to them. Feeding the faith and not the fear.
Right. Stella, you want me to ask it again?
Yes, please.
Is advocacy a baton that you believe can be replicated in other states or communities? If so, how?
How can it be advocated in other communities and states? Well, I think that with everything else, I think that the saying goes that if it's happened before, it's like laws and rules are created because of things that have happened. So if it's happened before, then you can use it to identify it. So having some guidelines in other states and communities helps with just recognizing it, as they say, there's levels to this. There's levels to the trauma. There's levels to trafficking. So steps, yes, can be taken, and a system can be implemented, when you're recognizing, what level someone is at and what needs, need to be met, because your needs may not need to be met over here. I think they gave us some numbers. Michigan it moved to number 10, and then we became
stay.
number 8.
Yeah, we stay on the top 10 list.
Right, we stay on the top 10 list. But we moved since 2013 up to number 8 with
Yes.
human trafficking.
Yes.
So that was huge.
Right.
So it changes our levels and it changes our needs. Of course, there's always going to be some things or some situations that are one off. But yes, definitely, it is definitely something that could be used across the states.
What about you, Samantha? How's the question? Is Advocacy Day a baton that you believe can be replicated?
Of course it is. I mean, throughout history, we see time and time again, there's worldwide movements that kind of follow each other. We see it all the time, and it still happens now, even throughout our country. And I think as a number 8 state, what kind of impact do we have on the country and on the rest of the world that if we make such a big difference in our state, well, who's to say nobody else can do it? And I think that if we keep our spirits high and we keep our voices loud, there's always room for change, and there's always room for everyone to kind of grow and learn. And I started learning just last semester about human trafficking through Alice's book. And I think that's ridiculous that it took 22 years for me to kind of learn about what that really was like. And it's had such a strong impact on me that I had to come and follow her out and kind of get involved with everything.
Thank you. You're so amazing.
Yes.
Alice fan club over here.
For sure.
Let me see. Yeah, Lady T. What do you think?
Well,
She a wealth of knowledge, so get ready.
I go back to the 3 words: inspire, educate, mobilize, right? So all of the anti-trafficking movement is just those 3 words. And it lies within each person who hears our voices today. It lies in all of our efforts wherever we are. We're part of an allyship. Each and every one of us is part of allyship. We're stakeholders in this. So for me, the replication is something that any city, any county, any state, that they too, or representation from the community, they can do the same thing. So when I think about passing the baton, I'm passing the baton to some young folks that can take this advocacy and soar with it. I wouldn't be who I am right now had it not been from the late John Conyers. John Conyers, right here in this city,
Legendary.
invested in making sure that at a time when there were at that time, it was the last historically black college and university. I went to Highland Park Community College.
Yes.
And I was the president of the city council the student council. And the state of Michigan was trying to close the college. And so short and long, advocated it stayed open another 8 years. And at the time, it was the number 1 college in the state of Michigan for graduating RNs. Think about that. It was in a very impoverished area, but the number 1 college graduating RNs with a 2-year degree.
Oh, and
More
it's
so than
wow.
Wayne State. Yeah, now it's no longer there. So it had value. It might have been in an impoverished area, like in all things, but it had value. Yes. So why do I say that? We all can we have 2 hands. We have one hand to hold on to somebody. I'm going to be holding on to you. Yeah. We have another hand that I could throw Stella up ahead of me. I could throw Alice up ahead of me. We have to use the 2 hands. And that is what John Conyers taught me. Use your 2 hands. I don't care what you're doing. Use your 2 hands. One to throw somebody up ahead of you, and one to bring somebody with you. So in anti-trafficking, and I can't say enough about the passion, the potential, the purpose, and the profitability of Alice's time in this.
Yeah.
Because guess what? She's bringing us along with her.
Yeah.
I'm honored and I'm humbled.
Me too.
It's powerful.
I love the baton, by the way. I used
I
to.
love the baton.
Can you twirl it?
She's decorating the baton, bedazzled the baton.
Really?
I used to race, right? And so we would pass the baton and race, and I used to love to run. I used to love to be on the team. That was my team. That I used to do every year in my recovery. We used to have this big thing where we got together and we would do track and field. And so I would always run that race and pass that baton. And, I think that, all these things can be replicated. I truly believe this like in my core, and that's why I invest so much in it, and I put so much time in it, because and it's not something like so much that it's never been done before. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing this in different states. It's just like Michigan is really behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to survivor leadership and advocacy and that sort of thing, and also, but with the legislative ask, right? There are other organizations that do stuff during the NFL. Teresa Flores, she's from here. She's a survivor as well, and she does like her soap event, and where they pass out little things of soap, and so it just kind of falls hand in hand what we're already doing anyway. You know what I mean? And lining things up, and really that's what survivor leadership and advocacy to the movement is when we come together, we're lining it up.
Yeah.
So, and then when you put that digital part in it with the youth and boxing, now we're like building this force, right? That is going to not only push people forward and move things in the right direction, but it's also going to put that level of covering. Come on, right? Around us, the children, our state, right? And everything. So.
Say that.
Yeah, so and speaking of that, as I want to go into some of the AI and some of the stuff that we're going to be doing, right? Because we have been working on some things like digging into different apps and seeing what apps work and what apps don't work, and I wanted to let you ladies talk about the apps that you researched over our first 4 weeks of 2 months of training, right? So Stella, you want to start, or Tish, or Samantha? Who wants to go?
Go ahead, Tish.
So one of the apps that I researched was Be Safe. It was started by a daughter and a father. The daughter had went through a traumatic experience, and her father, they came up with the idea together. This was just a couple years ago, and now they're promoting it on Forbes, ABC, NBC, and it's like the cost of a Netflix subscription.
Okay.
And even companies are incorporating it for their employees. So you download the app and you say a command, and it will alert the authorities, the police. And it just lets out this emergency sound. And it just basically makes sure, let the perpetrator know, hey, I'm not by myself. Just because you don't see it, this is what's up. And they come running.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that because we got more questions wrapped around that. But Stella, what was your app about?
Mine was Woman Now. It was an app that was created out of Texas, and it was about basically women being able to remove that glass ceiling and empowering women, so they're able to empower their homes, and it's not just geared towards single women or trafficked women that have been trafficked. It was based off of a woman who she was married, and she believed that as women we can have it all. We can be healed. Okay, we can help heal. We can own our own businesses. We can monitor what the children are doing. We can be the sports mom. It had a lot to do with.
I'm everyone.
Yes, but it had a lot to do with managing your time and putting your time where, not necessarily where it's valued, because it may not be valued. When you want to get your teenagers or your preteens off of the video games, they don't have an understanding for it. But it was an app about managing time management, being able to apply your time to each entity to be able to be successful. But Woman Now is about who are you now, not losing yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
great.
Wow. What about you, Samantha? What's your app?
I had Noonlight, which is kind of more of a safety app, and they basically have a button on the front screen that you can hold down and release, and it will silently alert the authorities to come to your location. And if you are safe and it was kind of just a mix-up, you're also able to kind of divert that. But I thought it was great. I found myself in a kind of scary situation at college where I was alone in an Uber, and he made attempts that were not really kind of warranted. And in that moment, it would have been very awkward to call the police because I was trapped in his car. So who knows what would have happened. And
Scary.
that would have been great to be able to silently alert police and had them be there before, especially because the man then knew where I lived. So it was kind of scary for the rest of the time that I was living there. But I think that it was a great safety app just in cases like that or domestic violences where you kind of can't set the person off and let them know. That it was great.
Okay.
So what do you guys? Go ahead, Lady T.
No, I just was going to commend you all for your research, because one of the things that Alice and I learned during our fellowship is that technology is a tool.
Absolutely.
And we have to look at how can we have preventable measures and utilize technology as a tool in real-time instances. And so each of you just talked about technology tools that could be utilized in real-time instances. So thank you for having that task with the
Yeah.
Survivor Council.
Yeah,
Alice.
because it's time for advocacy and leadership to turn up. We need to turn up on social media and let them know, like, yeah, it looked good in theory, right? But it ain't good, and we need to figure out how we need to be at the forefront. Like, we here. Oh, they did what? They did what? Where? Who? When? And let the people who are designed to be able to help and protect do their job. But we got to turn up first, and this is a part of that. I was going to ask you, ladies, what does your app? Do you think that your app speaks to? Do you think it's easy for youth to use, or is it for professionals, or is it for parents?
My app services, or not my app, but Be Safe
Be safe,
services.
right?
It services elderly, the youth, parents. So it's easily accessible.
Okay.
It's not difficult at all.
So, do you think somebody who doesn't have a lot of education or might be mentally challenged will be able to use the app?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. What about you?
Yes,
Stella?
definitely. You have to have. I think
What's your
my
app again?
It's
What-
Woman Now.
Oh, okay.
I
Woman.
think that you have to have the want to be interested in what Woman Now app offers, because it offers. It was different from what you ladies study. Mine was basically, it had to do a lot with your mental health.
And empowering women.
Correct.
Okay.
And how it empowers women in order to take part in, her leadership role in the family.
Awesome. Awesome. What about you, Samantha?
I do think that it's for anyone really. After that initial
what's your
setup,
app again?
it was Noonlight.
Noonlight. Okay.
So after that initial setup process, they have a little tutorial that kind of teaches you how to press down the button and how fast you would have to put that code in, and you can actually redo that, so you can teach your child multiple times how to do that in case they accidentally did press the button. And you can also connect it with your friends and family, so you're able to kind of keep each other accountable and make sure you know where you are. And so I thought it was a really great way for like families to connect and be able to make sure that everyone is safe. And it tracks your live location, which is really great, and kind of tracks how long you've been on the phone. Or so if you're not on your phone for, let's say, 13 hours, someone can contact the app or the police, and they can then use the app to locate you and make sure that you're okay.
Right. So this is how we empower. This is how we talk about safety and empowerment and what that looks like. One of the things I was going to ask. Oh, I forgot to ask. Was there a charge?
No. Effort.
Yes.
This one.
There was an option. There were 3 different options, but there was a basic free version.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel like it was something that someone who has who might not have a lot of money will be able to do.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, with the free version, definitely.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
With this wonderful assignment that you are given, do any of you feel as though you could create a solution-based app to help other or potential harms, to offset potential harms? Do any of you feel as though that you can help in a very participatory, anti-trafficking, pro-safety, gender-based violence, just pro helping other people? And I might not have articulated that well.
No, you did great.
Did you all feel inspired? And I asked this question because women, I don't care what country I'm in, I don't care what language they speak. If you ask women, if you put them in a room right now, if I ask you, how many people in this room are creative? Raise your hand. How many people in this room creative?
Okay, we're all progressive.
Okay, right. So usually 80 to 90% of the women will do that. And if I ask the same question, how many people in this room are inventors? It's not the same number.
Right.
But it's the same ingenuity. It's the same creativity. So me posing a question like, do you feel inspired?
Yes.
Do you feel as though you could have solutions
Absolutely.
to bring to the
Absolutely.
table based on the research that you did? Great assignment, Alice.
Right, right. And this is what we do. It's a great experience for myself. I always learn so much from just the interaction and the inspiration that I get from you guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all my inspiration. Like, it's like, man, we can do this, right? And we can do this in advocacy, and we can do this with the movement, and we can do this in legislation, and we can do this in best practice. And I think that, like, this is just the beginning of doors opening. And we got to continue to push for this, and it's something that can be replicated all over the country. And I don't think really no one has like the authority on it, right? But part of best practices is understanding you need different people's input. You need different people's outlook. You need different people's experience and them walking through the process, right, with you. And so that's where that baton comes back into play. Like, we're in this race together.
Question.
Go ahead.
So, Stella, you had mentioned steps. What does that look like? Like, what are the steps? What do you do?
Well, remember when I was kind of giving you a scenario of creating your own ACEs? There's a book that I just started to read, but it's been around for a lot of years, and it's called, I believe it's The Seat of the Soul. I think I'm in the middle of probably 4, but it's The Seat of the Soul, and it talks about, the biggest thing it talks about, and that I'm getting from it is living your life with intention. And I didn't realize that I wasn't living my life with that much intention, but part of it is not feeling guilty about creating my own oasis. As I was saying to you, it's as simple as when I go in the house, I see I pull in my driveway a particular way. I back in, because to me the coolest driver's back in. Can I get an amen?
Right.
Okay.
So I go in. I have a routine for myself, and I come in the house. I have a hook because we're in Michigan. We're just finishing with the chill weather, and so I have to put my coat up, take my shoes off. My slippers are right there waiting for me. And I told you I go in the house.
That in advocacy.
But first, you have to center yourself so you can figure out a plan. But if you're going to be all over the place, then you can't offer anything to anyone else. This is just my opinion. But for me, in order to offer something to someone else, some days I may have it together. Some days I may not have it together. But when I show up, I have to show up like I have it together, because otherwise...
What are you doing?
Right. And I may not be as effective. So, again, this is for me. I have to slow my mind down and figure out, what am I going to get done today? And if I don't get everything done today, that I wanted to do, then it's still okay. Because I made some.
No,
that's not what
no.
I'm saying. It's not altogether. It's I'm understanding that this is not an overnight success thing, and it's not about the success. It's about the added value for me. For me, it's if I have a saying that if I can't add value, I'm not going to show up. And
It's the journey.
yeah, it is. It's the journey.
The journey. Everybody's looking at the destination, but the
And it takes
journey is
time.
everything. And what you put into it, right? What I put into it, it plants seeds, just like with anything else. You planting seeds that are going to grow and they're going to blossom, and you're going to look back and be like, wow, that's that seed.
That's good, Alice.
Yeah, having a patience with yourself.
That's real good. I love that you said it's the journey. I think that there's such a misconception about what success looks like for women, right? And success is not a final destination. We're all evolving. And so the intentionality that you spoke about, what I believe, and my final thoughts for this as we're wrapping up, is you need to have an intentionality. And I said this when we were in Lansing, and I wrote this when we were on the bus to go to Lansing. Let your hearts be the compass, your heads the strategy, and your hands the relentless force that will navigate us towards a world free from human trafficking. So for me, that's the intentionality. Like, it starts with each and every one of us, because we're the actors, we're the stakeholders, we're the allyship. And so I'm proud of everyone that's here in this dialogue.
And it starts with you.
Yes, you too. You and you.
Yes, because we need everybody in.
Right.
And that goes back to what Tish was feeling, right? When she was in there, right? Because we need people to come on in and take this as their own charge and implement it in their own states. Because look, if one person's asking for something, then that looks one way, right? But if you got 10 organizations and states saying, this is what we want, this is what we need.
What if it was their daughter?
What if it, ask them, there we go.
What if it was your daughter, your niece,
What if it was your
wife,
son?
Anybody, your son? What if? What if? What would you do?
Right.
How hard would you go?
Right. How hard would you go? We need you to go hard. All right. Thanks, ladies. We had a great podcast. And I want you to go on to the opengateway.org and please share. Please, you can go on the Speak Pipe if you feel like you can add to this conversation or you want to give us some feedback on our podcast. You can go to the Speak Pipe, leave your comments, and contribute to this conversation. Thanks for having us. See you next time.
Regarding human trafficking and contact information for law enforcement agencies. The end product would be one website where someone could find everything that they need as it relates to human trafficking issues in Michigan. And this is going to make it easier for survivors to get the information they so badly need, and for the public to be fully informed as well. United with all of our partners, the Human Trafficking Commission seeks to enhance engagement with the public in 2024. The Commission hopes to attend more community events, both large and small, to create literature that can be shared throughout the state of Michigan, to provide trainings regarding human trafficking awareness throughout the state and in various different settings, and to create an educational program that our school districts can utilize to help prevent our youth from becoming victims of trafficking. And so if you have any events that you'd like the Commission to attend, or if you have any ideas, or you want to help with these goals, please do not hesitate to reach out. They'd love to hear from you. Additionally, the Commission would like to be more active in assisting our advocacy groups in obtaining the resources and support that they so badly need. The Commission would like to spend time in 2024 researching grants and funding sources for those of you who are or who would like to be able to provide support or more support to survivors. The support needed after escaping trafficking is great, but it's also varied. And survivors, needs can vary, and there are many different types of resources, such as drug and alcohol treatment, mental health and trauma treatment, housing, work programs, childcare, legal services, and education programs. The need is great, but the available resources, unfortunately, are currently limited. Finally, The Commission firmly believes that in order to eradicate human trafficking, traffickers and those who assist traffickers must be held accountable. Traffickers and those who assist should be prosecuted to the very fullest extent of the law, and both the Michigan Department of Attorney General and the Commission would like to see some legislative changes to the criminal laws regarding human trafficking. Human traffickers should face tougher penalties and have to forfeit assets they've obtained through their criminal enterprises. And those who knowingly assist traffickers, or those who knowingly look away from that conduct, should also face consequences for their role in human trafficking. Further, the laws in Michigan do very little, unfortunately, to protect the victims and survivors of these crimes, specifically, of course, human trafficking, and there should be broader expungement laws for survivors of human trafficking for crimes they were forced to commit, not because they wanted to, but because they were forced into it while they were being trafficked. Additionally, victims of human trafficking should not have to fear prosecution for crimes that they were forced to commit during that trafficking, and oftentimes victims do not feel safe coming forward and cooperating with prosecutions of their traffickers for fear that they themselves will ultimately be prosecuted. They should not fear coming forward and holding those who manipulated and victimized them. We need to be holding these people accountable, and we need the cooperation of victims and survivors. And there are so many bills that I'm sure many of you are already aware of that have come through the Commission, come through our department. We've worked tirelessly on these bills. We have had state representatives and state senators at our events. They know and understand, and I hope appreciate the importance of this legislation. It is not partisan legislation. Human trafficking affects everyone, irrespective of whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent, or whether you have no affiliation of any kind whatsoever politically. You deserve to be protected if you are a survivor of human trafficking. This is not a partisan issue, it's not a political issue, and the legislature needs to move on this, and they need to do it yesterday. So, with that rant, thank you again for everybody helping to spread this message. Please know that the Michigan Department of Attorney General is a partner to all of you in this ongoing effort to end human trafficking. And we won't stop until we've protected every survivor in the state, and we have pursued every trafficker.